Yeah, some might ask, it might be a strange title, applied sustainability. I'm often asked, what does that mean? It basically means to make sustainable a little bit more tangible. It's a bit of a fluffy word, but in that role I try to make it more tangible, more customer-oriented in a way, and more pragmatic. And let's see if there are some solutions or ideas that are hopefully a little bit more pragmatic. I was actually very thankful to you, Osama, that you finally gave us some chemical structures this morning, because I already thought I'm in the wrong spot. I'm at a chemical conference and nobody showed us chemical structures, and you did that with a lot of enthusiasm. Thank you very much. I would like to ask actually how many chemists there are here in the room by training. Wow, that's really amazing. I'm only a business person. Luckily, I work in a chemical company, because we actually believe that with circular economy there could be a new golden age of chemistry coming around. Let's see if that's really going to happen or not. Then you can all be very lucky, and I can be lucky. At least I work in a chemical company. What I want to talk about today is basically BASF's understanding of circular economy, how we have translated that into our terms, then what kind of products contribute to circular economy, and the methodology that we have developed to basically segment our products according to sustainability criteria. And lastly, I want to talk about closing the big loop by a methodology that we call biomass balance, and I will talk a bit about that. Starting with how we understand circular economy, actually the Ellen MacArthur Foundation together with McKinsey, they have done a lot of work in calculating how much value there is, and I think there is in total 1 trillion euros globally of potential coming from circular economy. That of course doesn't really tell us a lot as a company, because that figure was calculated for the economy, and circular economy doesn't only provide opportunities, it also has some downsides for the chemical industry, because of course an idea is to lose yet less resources, right, or to less materials. So how can that actually be of an opportunity for us? The general idea is to move from a linear process, from a take, make, dispose sort of approach to a circular one, of course. But the circles can also be, let's say, smaller circles. It doesn't always have to be a product taking it by the end of its life cycle and then bringing it back. There is a lot of waste, for example, that is coming out of processes in the middle of a value chain, and it's also about looking at how can we reuse that. The idea is, of course, to extract also the maximum value of products. So there is a clear link. How can we make products more durable, that they last longer, that we can extract the value for a longer time? And then, of course, how to regenerate products and materials at the end of the life cycle. There are 3 industries that are the main ones when it comes to consumer spending. I think 80% of consumer spending is on those 3, which is transportation, agriculture, and construction, according to the Ellen MacArthur McKinsey study. And I'll give you some examples for those. So transportation, if you think about cars, my father owned a car or owns one today. I lease a car or share it with my husband, and my children will probably not even desire to have a car. They might just share it or use it whenever they need it, but that will certainly change. In BASF we already see the effects in terms of maybe not autonomous driving, but also that if you think of abilities in the car to help you steer, sensoring, we already see that we sell less coating, repair coatings in BASF coatings, because actually cars bump less into each other, so the amount of repair coating is of course going down. So there's clearly an effect. Some interesting figures here from that study. Also, a car is parked 90% of the time. It's 1% of the time it's sitting in congestion. Actually, even in Ludwigshafen this becomes more and more true, but definitely true for cities like London and other big ones. 1.6% of the time you're looking for parking, and only 5% of the time you're actually in the car driving somewhere. So that is really giving us some idea of improvement potential for using our resources, I think. In terms of agriculture, I think, Michael, you already very well explained the chances coming up with digitalization, precision farming. How can that help agriculture? How can that help to preserve food? And you also very nicely explained 3D printing. I think it's quite amazing if you think of construction and 3D printing, that I think the Chinese have printed 10 houses in a week, really houses to live in. And of course the great advantages are that you don't have to transport a lot of material, you save packaging, you just print it exactly where you need it. So there's a lot of trends in those areas. How do we translate this now somehow to BASF? What does it mean for us? We looked at the 6 levers that Ellen MacArthur Foundation came up with and said, let's make that a little more simple for us. Let's summarize it in 2 parts. First of all, keep it smart. Keep it smart for us means to increase the efficiency of processes and enhance effectiveness of products and solutions. So basically it's about saving resources, use less. And the second part is closing the loop. So if you already have materials, if you have waste, then let's be smart about that and close those loops. Let's look at where we can use them again. Then we ask ourselves, of course, how can we, with our product portfolio, contribute to a more circular world or to more sustainability in general. And we, a couple of years back now, came up with a methodology of looking at our whole portfolio in BASF. And the idea was basically, okay, there are a lot of initiatives. There are the battery materials worked on. There are eco-bio products for renewable packaging, lots of different things. But how can we actually make sure that our whole portfolio moves into the direction of more sustainability? And there are around 60,000 product solutions in BASF. That is a product in its different applications. So it's maybe some 6,000 products, but then quite a lot of different applications. And we went actually through all of those applications and categorized them into those 4 categories. You can imagine it's quite an exercise. It took maybe 2-3 years, 200 workshops, 2,000 people involved in the whole process, but it was really worthwhile. How it works is basically we have 4 categories. One category we call accelerators. It's the category which are the products that contribute to sustainability in a very positive way. That are either better than competitor products, definitely better than market standards, so really the push products for sustainability. Then there are the performers, which is the big bunch of the portfolio, which are good products, which are meeting market standards, which are not giving that additional thing to sustainability. And then we also looked at the problems associated with that. And we said, okay, if there is an issue with for example, a substance of the product, we have to take that into consideration. And we call them transitioners and challenged. Of course, all the products we have are legal, no doubt about that, but we look at what legislation is coming up. A challenged product, for example, we classified our lead chromates. It's still used in South America, for example, what you said, okay, we will step out of this business now because we don't believe that it's a good way to handle it. You might also say 0.2% in the challenged is really small number. Yes, it is. When we did the first exercise, it was much more. It was 1 point something percent. But we already saw that in the first year of working on that, business units started to develop on action plans and phase out more products by new R&D developments, etc. This has actually also helped us to engage BASF's employees on sustainability, because before we had the sustainability strategy, of course, we have the purpose, we create strategy for a sustainable future, but what does it mean for a product manager specifically? And when you're handling maybe a range of products and you discuss all of those according to sustainability criteria, you really have a much better feeling of what it means for you. And if it's an accelerator product, you need to say, okay, in which area does it concretely contribute to? Does it save costs downstream? Does it reduce emission? Does it save water? Does it contribute somehow to end poverty and hunger in a way? So it has to add to some of those sustainability criteria in order to be an accelerator. And then in terms of circular economy, we said, okay, what are the areas where are products that contribute particularly to circular economy today? And that's the picture looking at it from the product point of view. One example I want to share with you is how the process works is as a challenged product are polyfluorinated substances, which are a problem because they can accumulate in the environment. So we said, okay, we need to start a research process to get rid of them. They are used in cardboard boxes, for example, for cornflakes to prevent the ink from migrating to through the cardboard into the food in the end. So, and that's usually done with polyfluorinated substances, as you probably know much better than me. And we have now launched an accelerator which is biodegradable and a recyclable product to offset that. That's just one example. That's the only example I will actually show you today. We also said we need to have a target. 26.6% of accelerators we have today. The target is to have 28 by 2020. You probably say 26.6 and 28, is that really a challenging target? Well, it is, because actually each year we do this exercise again and products are also moving down. Because their market standard is rising as well, and when products are re-evaluated, they also become from an accelerator, they move down to become a performer. So we have to constantly innovate to make sure that we have enough accelerators there. Good. Now from the products to the processes, where how can we actually look at circular economy and where can we support this? This is a production cycle coming from the resources, BASF's production at the customer site, in use and end of life. We see a lot of, that's why I said the age of, or the golden age of chemistry, we see a lot of chemical solutions actually helping in different areas. Chemicals enabling resource savings. We think that if it's a chemical is of much higher value, that for example you only need to paint your wall once, not 4 times, this helps of course to save resources, or prolonging lifespans with more durable products, or also with of course biodegradable products. Probably the biggest efficiency helper is the Verbund, and nowadays with all those things going on in the chemical industry, it might not be the big trend to have a Verbund, but BASF still believes in the Verbund concept, all those resource savings by connecting different plants and using energy, using water, using steam, etc. And we have quite significant savings from that system. Closing the loops, what are examples in this area? Turning waste into resources. Quite some examples here, but what I want to share with you also is that we are really on a journey here in terms of circular economy. I think the first one, keep it smart, is easy to do, right? Because you're everybody wants to save resources, you save costs at the same time, so naturally you do it, and it also helps the environment, so it's great. This one is much more difficult to start, I think, because it needs a lot of change, it needs behavioral change, it needs change of thinking in terms of business models. And there are a couple of examples, but I think we need to develop much more in this area. Of course, we do some solvent recycling. We have take-back systems of products we deliver, take back, and bring out again. We have the compostable bags that can be used to collect your organic waste and then are actually biodegradable as well. But I believe that we really need to work on, as an industry, much more on those kind of ideas, like chemical leasing, that are more output-based and performance-based than really about selling a product. And I think yesterday there was a question to ACTSO, where you said, okay, we're pretty far away from those kind of business models. Probably I would agree for the moment, but I really think that we should move into this direction. Biomass balance is one thing I want to share with you. And L'Oréal, we yesterday heard that not for all the products there is already an alternative products on a renewable basis. And what I would like to share with you, if you imagine that all the fossil-based products you would buy from BASF, just theoretically for a moment, I want to show you how you can actually make them renewable based in an indirect way. How does that work? Biomass balance is an idea a bit similar to what Christine from Henkel yesterday talked about, the palm oil. But the idea is basically you have BASF's Verbund. We put, of course, a lot of naphtha into our steam cracker, and we put a little bit of renewable biogas, bio-naphtha in the steam cracker. And then, of course, in all of the hundreds of plants, everything is mixed up. And at the end, out comes, again, a product where we then allocate what we put in the very beginning. And how do you do that? Because, of course, molecules are spread all over the place. So it's not physically, again, the same molecule coming back exactly out of that one plant in the end. But we do that by a system that has been certified by TÜV by an allocation. So we clearly track how much we put in and in what kind of processes it flows and how it comes out. And this gives customers the opportunity to buy basically a product that is exactly the same as they would buy before. And we were discussing, I think, the example of the lipstick not really working so well. Maybe if it's really renewable based. In this way, it's still the same product you buy, but you buy a product that is renewable based by certificate, basically. The well-known customer in Germany, those of you who are from Germany, is DAW with Alpina Weiß. So if you're painting your house, you probably know that brand. And they now did a product completely based on our raw materials, which is climate neutral. So they basically buy a normal, let's say, binder from us, and then buy that certificate, say, okay, it's renewable based. Here's a bit of a sketching of how that then flows exactly. If you look at the blue line, only that's if a fossil, let's say, molecules would move all the way through the process, and out comes a fossil-based product. If you look at the bottom, and I know it's a little bit difficult to see from the very back, but basically the other way you could do is to have a bio-based raw material, a real one, and we have some products like biobutanol and some of those, of course, as well, which is then really bio-based. And what we're talking about now is that you're using biomass and then go let's say the way and at the upper line here, and out comes a fossil resource-saving product, which is bio-based, but has all the properties of a normal product you would know. Good, that was basically what I wanted to share with you today. Circular economy, it's much more than waste management. It's also much more than pure recycling. It supports value generation, especially with high-performance products. We use sustainable solution steering, a methodology to shift the whole portfolio towards more sustainable and more circular solutions. And biomass balance is a way to offer customers renewable-based products with the same performance. Thank you.
Thank you for this very interesting talk. And it's now open for questions. Okay.
Very interesting. Thank you.
My question, you showed this picture about sustainable solution steering. Yeah? And you showed one example where you have all this data that I have spoken in my, this one, no, the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly the data, let's say, that we would need in our industry to, let's say, to bring in new products into a sustainable oriented partnership from the business ecosystem. Where are we with such, let's say, data? Is such data now available for different products, let's say for the standard products even?
You mean, for example, like life cycle data? Or
yes, life cycle data in this, with this granularity.
So we have done a lot of life cycle analysis and also eco-efficiency analysis in BASF in the last years. And I think in terms of eco-efficiency analysis, probably more than 600. But we have not done that for all of the, let's say, 5,000 to 10,000 products, depends on how you look at it. But what we have definitely used the life cycle analyses and life cycle inventory data to come up with that kind of segmentation in the cases we had it. So it exists for a lot of the products we buy, for sure for the big ones, but we didn't do it across the board. It's really a very, very, let's say, time-consuming exercise if you do a real life cycle analysis, of course. But it helps a lot to understand of where the impacts are. So we use it a lot, and also actually the group I'm responsible for it's one of the main tasks to support our customers with life cycle analysis. So it's frequently used, but it doesn't cover the complete portfolio.
Thank you.
Another question here.
Your approach that you mentioned at the end of your presentation in terms of combining the bio-based solutions with the oil-based solutions, is it mostly market-driven, or are you finding also that some of these routes are also cost-driven, so in other words you achieve a lower cost position with these materials?
You don't really achieve a lower cost position at the moment, with the oil price being here and the cost for biogas, bio-naphtha being definitely higher. So it's more the other way around.
Market-driven.
It's market-driven, yes. So in the case of DAW with Alpina Weiß, clearly they wanted to have a product where they could tell customers and customers like us, we have a climate-neutral product. What can we do about it? Yeah, market-driven, absolutely.
So, another question?
Hi, it's a really interesting presentation, thank you. I'm June Graham from McBride. I'm interested in your biomass balance approach. You likened it to the mass balance approach on palm oil. Yeah?
And the thinking is the same, but
yeah.
it's the approach, of course, itself is different.
Yeah, I can get the palm oil, because I think as plantations move over to a more sustainable agriculture, there's always going to be that time in transition. But perhaps I've got it wrong, but the way you're describing the biomass balance, I can't see how it's actually helping to improve sustainability or move more to biomass. Just seems a marketing-driven position, and perhaps what some might call greenwash. Or is that a bit harsh?
I think it's a bit harsh.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, and perhaps I don't understand it.
Yeah. No, I think it is really a bit harsh, because it enables. You could say, of course, it would be even better to really do bio-based products for all of the products we have. And I would agree with you, if that's possible, super. Yeah. But then we have the problem we discussed yesterday with L'Oréal. What do you do about technical performance, right? So at the moment, I think this is probably the approach to go for, to use more and more renewable-based resources to feed the cracker with, to bring out products that are renewable-based, maybe as an intermediate solution until we are maybe one day all the way bio-based, not sure, but it definitely helps to provide solutions where it's not currently possible for technical reasons, for performance reasons, to do it in another way. So I would definitely say it's not greenwashing because it's an actual practical solution on how to use more renewable resources.
Yes, a question here.
It's a question and a comment in the same direction. I would say that in order to avoid being accused of greenwashing in this case, I see you use some certificates to allocate to specific products.
Yeah.
I think you need to make sure that you don't double claim these benefits, that you don't claim them excuse me, on your energy source side once, so that you don't say BASF has 30% of the energy source from renewable, and at the same time you allocate this to products, and then you say these products are 100% bio-based, you know, because then you double claim, you double count this benefit, this marketing benefit, and I think that can be kind of risky.
Yeah, so I mean, if you talk about maybe in a marketing story or double claiming this, I would agree you have to be really careful on how you report it. I think in the end it's good because it definitely helps the environment. Yeah, so we should not double claim it when we let's say report GRI or what kind of things, but it's definitely a good way of increasing the level of renewables used, I think.